Democrat of the day is Kevin Shea. He's running for the Senate seat in District 56. He's kind enough today to talk about join us to talk about his campaign. Mr. Shea, thank you very much. I appreciate the time.
Good afternoon, Matt. Thanks for having me on.
My pleasure. Let's find out a little bit, first of all, about who you are. Who exactly is Kevin Shea?
Sure. Well, Matt, before we get going, I was listening to your program yesterday.
Yes.
And that was just a marvelous story you had about your deacon's son, I believe, that broke his leg, and the two nurses that attended to you and attended to him in the hospital. And just a wonderful story about tolerance and diversity. And as a fellow Catholic, that same Mass I went to, there was a reading from Isaiah in there that said, "Share your food with the hungry and give shelter to the homeless. Remove your heavy yoke of oppression. Stop pointing fingers and spreading vicious rumors." I think our president could listen to that. "Feed the hungry and help those in trouble." So I just want to point out, it's just not the right-wing evangelists that have a monopoly on spirituality and compassion. So
well, not absolutely.
I thought.
Go ahead.
I just thought that was a wonderful story you told.
And if you hadn't heard, by all means, go listen to this show. It's on SoundCloud there. It ends up being a good story in the end, and the deacon was talking about welcoming in other people. And there you go. How about that little gem? Welcoming in strangers from strange lands. Goodness, heaven forbid we follow that one.
Yeah,
so,
yeah, absolutely. Well,
right.
Anyway, I just had to get that one in because it was just a wonderful story, very heartwarming.
So you obviously, we know you're now a Catholic as long as I'm a Catholic.
Yeah.
Let's hear a little bit more about your background.
Sure. Well, District 56 is Burnsville, most of it, all of the city of Savage, and a little sliver of Lakeville. And I've been a resident of the district for 35 years. For over 35 years, I've been a practicing attorney. I've negotiated million-dollar deals over the years. I'm the only candidate on either side that has any business or legal experience. I've run my own small business for those period of time. Understand all the real-world challenges that small businesses and individuals have with rules, regulations, etc. Husband of 35 years, got 5 children, so you can tell I am a Catholic. And my wife has a career. I have 3 daughters that are starting their own careers, and they, when the world that sometimes is dominated by men. As Will Rogers used to say, I'm not a member of any organized party. I'm a Democrat. And I am a lifelong Minnesotan and a lifelong DFLer. My first vote was for Jimmy Carter, and I think this fall will probably be my proud 10th vote for a Democratic president, whoever that may be. And the thing that gives me the most pride is just what Minnesota stands for. Best schools in the nation, and now that's gone from preschool and hopefully through higher education. We're always the champions of the environment. We're supporters of our labor unions. That's the L in the DFL. And we're leaders in healthcare. We started the HMOs. We take a lot of pride in our beautiful lakes and parks and waterways. And we're home also to worldwide political leaders over the years. Obviously, you and I are probably old enough to remember Hubert Humphrey and Orville Freeman. That's Mike Freeman's dad. Harold Stassen, although he's Republican, he's one of the people that started the United Nations. Walter Mondale, of course, and the great Paul Wellstone. And now today we're blessed with having Amy Klobuchar and Governor Tim Walz. So that's really a hallmark of our party and our state, that we really believe in making people's lives better. And that's what makes me proud to be a Minnesotan and proud to be running for the Minnesota State Senate.
What prompted you to say, was there a specific issue or a specific cause? I know you're not exactly a fan of the Republican incumbent in there. Talk about that. You're sitting around with your wife, your family, saying, "Guess what I'm going to try to do."
Right. Well, I think you'd hit on one of the key issues. We do have a representative out there, our state senator Dan Hall, and he wants to put Minnesota in reverse. I'll leave it up to your listeners to explore Mr. Hall's or Senator Hall's record. But he's one of the few senators that voted against the Marriage Equality Act. He also voted against Governor Dayton's initiative of equal pay for equal work. I don't have the exact quote, but it was something like, I'm not going to pit one gender after another. I don't know how backward that is, but I think if you look at his record, he and the rest of the GOP senators stifle any meaningful legislation that goes past the House or has the support of the governor. In fact, I playfully call the Senate Majority Leader Paul Gazelka. He's just really a roadblock to getting anything done. Mitch McConnell, 0.20.
Mm-hmm. Well, I would not disagree with that description at all. I think, it is remarkable how little they are getting done. If you do get into the Senate, where would you want to focus your attention? Obviously, once again, you're part of a statewide body, so you have to look at statewide issues. But specifically, if you're looking at 56, what do you want to specifically champion for your district?
Sure. Well, we have a number of issues that are going out in District 56. Number one, you may be aware we just had 3 schools closed in Burnsville, and those are really community assets out there. A lot of that goes to the funding, the lack of funding, I should say, for our public schools, and particularly the schools in Burnsville, because now the shift has been to more reliance on property taxes than it is state funding. And that forced us to sadly close 3 of our schools. So that'd be number one. Number two, we have some transportation needs out there. The redoing of County Road 42, which is kind of our main thoroughfare, Highway 13 out there in particular. And then one that Senator Hall has his fingers on is a bonding bill that, again, end up at Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell II desk, and that was stifled there. It was a bonding bill for our Civic Center, which would have improved kind of an aging Civic Center, which is really kind of the central part of our community in Burnsville. So those are a few that I could see right off the get-go.
And Hall is, particularly, I'm not a big fan of his. Not only is he questionable on comments as far as the LGBTQ community, but of course, I look at it this way. I'm Catholic, but my religion only goes as far as me. I don't necessarily think we should be forcing, reproductive rights choices, especially from a male-based group, onto women by any means. So I think that when you look at Hall and his, desire to get, he's likely going to bring up an anti-abortion bill, getting him out of there. I mean, that's part of the problem. We need to have better people that have better solutions on that as well. It's an interesting. Your district, your race right now is actually one of the more cluttered ones. It's got quite a few people there. You're going to have obviously an endorsement on this. Are you going to follow through on the endorsement, whether you get that or don't get that? And if not, would you take it to the primary? And if so, what would be your motivation on that?
Sure. Well, I think all 3 of the candidates. I guess there was a 4th that jumped in last night. Our goal, obviously, is to beat Dan Hall, and I made an announcement early on that I'm going to go forward to the primary regardless of the endorsement. I think my justification for that is that we're going to probably have on or about 500 people at the precinct caucuses. It takes roughly about a 60% majority to win. So that's 300 people determining our nominated candidate. And even in a good primary, we're going to probably have, obviously, 12 to 13,000 people that are going to determine our nominee. I think that's a better indication of democracy than having 300 people determine who our nominee is going to be.
Well, and that obviously that's the process. And if you've ever listened to the show for any length of time, I mean, I'm
Mhm.
a person that you have to understand the process before you get into it. And if you don't understand that, then you get upset how the process unfolds. I'm particularly
Sure.
looking at past elections. I don't want to necessarily get into them because I don't want those callers today. But I'll look at the DFL race. I mean, it was kind of one of those things where it was hard when you had someone get endorsed who was not expecting it. We're saying they're going to the primary, but the minute they get endorsed, they change that. You would stand by that if you do get the endorsement at the convention and your opponents do want to take it to the primary, you still would stay on board with that?
Absolutely.
Right.
Well, I think the DFL has a long history of people going to the primary that have been unendorsed. In fact, our current governor, Governor Walz, was an unendorsed candidate, and he won very handily the governorship. So I would encourage, I mean, I have no problem with that. It actually might help us to keep our names out there in the public. And as I said last night at our committee meeting, I think it makes all of us sharper when we have a little competition.
Obviously this is it is a complicated race here. It is getting more busy, and I think a lot of that, as you brought up earlier, is I think Hall is just such a bad Republican and bad representation for a district which it actually, I can be honest with you, I'm kind of shocked he still is going to St. Paul. That's not a district that seems to be endorsing that kind of crazy.
I couldn't agree with you more, Matt. It is a head shaker, and that's really one of my motivating forces. I just think that, we aren't a blue district, we aren't a red district, or the proverbial purple district out there. It's trending blue. We have obviously 2 DFL House members in 56, and so we have some. But Dan Hall has won the last 2 cycles very comfortably by an average of 10 points. And, we just need somebody that out in that district that, can reach across and get some independent voters, get some disaffected Republicans who are so just disgusted with what's happening to their party. And, that's what's going to win the day in our district. We haven't done very well, and I think I represent somebody that could really, reach across that aisle. For sure, I will not give up the core values of the DFL. But, from time to time, you have to reach across. We shouldn't forget that, sometimes Republicans have good ideas. Richard Nixon started the EPA. Ronald Reagan appointed Sandra Day O'Connor to the Supreme Court, which is, the first female on the U.S. Supreme Court. So occasionally they come up with good ideas, and we shouldn't be opposed when they are good ideas.
Well, and I think obviously the main focus here is to look at the DFL as of right now. Obviously, we have the endorsement, and then we have the primary that's coming up. That's the main key, and then obviously we're working to win over the masses when we get back to the general election. I want to drive people, if people are interested in finding out more about Kevin Shea, it's Shea, SHEAMN Senate.com, correct?
That is correct.
All right. www.SheaMNSenate.com. Kevin Shea in that District 56. Folks, this is a seat the DFL can easily pick up. This is it. So get to know the candidates, find out who represents you best, make the endorsement, make the primary. But needless to say, let's make sure we flip that one to the DFL side come November of 2020. Kevin, thank you very much. I appreciate the time today.
Thank you, Matt. I appreciate it also. Have a great day.
You bet. Kevin Shea, Democrat of the Day, Senate District 56. We'll take a break. Come on back. It is the Matt McNeil Show right here on AM 950.